Alright, yeah, welcome back to some more Magic Arena, and today we're jumping back in with some more Jumpstart Historic Horizons. Been playing quite a fair bit of this off of YouTube, on stream actually, so I've built myself up quite a little bit of a collection. I think I'm closing in on about the time when I'm going to stop playing Jumpstart, because I will have mostly all the singles I think I need for like Historic Brawl and things like that, which videos for those to come shortly, don't you worry. But yeah, I think we've got a couple more jump starts in us, so let's get started, shall we? I'm going to try and pick the ones that I haven't picked before. Davriel and Bears. I've never actually picked any of these. I don't really like Davriel. Davriel's the only Jumpstart digital-only card that I despise with a passion, mostly because the -2 has text longer than Questing Beast, and you can't read it without picking the minus. So I find that kind of stupid. It's probably the most powerful pack, but at the same time, I look at this beautiful girl here, and I'm thinking to myself, Bear Tribal. That sounds great. Let's go with Bears. Scorched Earth. Oh, it actually has a tick to say that you've picked them before. I don't remember picking Scorched Earth, to be honest, but Marasa Behemoth I definitely remember playing with, so that should say all it needs to say. Energy is actually kind of a card that I'm excited to play around with the Long Tusk Stalker. Enters the battlefield or attacks, you get an energy, and you can pay 2 to perpetually get +1/+0. And then choose a creature in your hand, that perpetually gets +1/+0 as well. Could probably do something with like Electrostatic Pummeler. That deck's been struggling to be good for a long time, so maybe the stuff in these energy packs is where it's going to be. So, Long Tusk Stalker, the digital-only card for the energy side of things. We've also got a Sky Shroud Ambush, I'm sure because this is a 2-of, it came in both packs. As far as... Oh god, we've actually got bears. Oh, we got a Pool of Vigorous Growth. Oh god. So we did have a Pool of Vigorous Growth on stream, and I guess we're going to do it again. I basically refused to stop playing until we got to a Pool of Vigorous Growth matchup and win with it. Don't know if we'll be doing that today, but the options are there. Ayula, Queen Among Bears, is our rare for the bear side. 2-mana 2/2. Whenever another bear enters the battlefield under your control, you choose either to put 2 counters on a bear, or make that bear fight a creature you don't control. And we've also got Veteran Charger as our digital only. So I guess digital only wise, we get 2 of them. We get the Ambush, the Charger, and the Stalker. Both of them getting Ambush, of course, for each pack. Got Goreclaw, Terror of Calcima. Or Sisma. 4 power or greater costs less. That's going to be quite a fair few. So what's the, I guess Pool of Vigorous Growth is the rare for the energy side? I don't imagine it's Goreclaw, but I guess it could be. Either way, though, that's going to be the pack selection side of things. If you do enjoy the content, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and without further ado, let's continue. This video is brought to you by the generous support of our wonderful patrons and channel members that you see here. If you'd like to support the channel and get access to cool content like sneak peeks, bonus videos, polls on future content, or access to a personal deck critique from myself every month, then hit the join button down below, or check out the Patreon link in the description. With all that said, let's get into the gameplay. Alrighty, we're in. We've got slowest hand of all time. That probably means that I mull it. If I had a 2-drop, I would snap this one in a heartbeat because we have interaction and pump spells to keep our things alive, but because we have nothing until turn 4 and our interaction doesn't work without it, we're gonna mull. This is a 2-drop. Enters with counters on it. Can also reinforce, which is discard it to put counters on a creature. I'm assuming that means I can do it at instant speed. I'll keep this one. It's not much better than the last, but it'll do, I suppose. That's a pretty good pickup, actually. Sage of Shalia's... of Shyla's Claim? Yeah, Shyla's claim. They're all made-up words anyway, leave me alone. Alright. So we have a Urban Dagger Tooth, which can come down next turn. So I'm going to play this as an X2, I think. I think it's better than reinforcing. So 1, 2, full mana slapped onto that. The Dagger Tooth has Proliferate when it is enraged, which means the Sky Shroud Ambush is also going to turn the Ren's Run Hydra into a 3/3, which is quite nice. Alright, so they've got Faithless Salvaging. And it looks like they are the Madness deck. So the red-black deck. Flying and Haste. That's cute. 'Tis an imp. We have a Reach, but they are not interested in a trade. That I find kind of interesting. I'm going to get in for 2, see if they want to block. I highly doubt it. This isn't a deal damage to, it's actually a fight. So if we fought the imp, we would lose the fight. Because we have to survive combat. And I guess the other has to die. I don't really know why this is something that's digital only. I know, like, the weirdness of it is kind of based around determining who actually won a fight if, like, a creature has indestructible or something, but to me, it seems pretty easy to figure out. It's like, you use this fight, is the thing that you tried to kill off the board, and is the thing that you used to try and kill on the board. Both of those things are true, then you won the fight, otherwise you didn't. But a counter on a creature, 2 counters on another creature, and 3 counters on a third creature. Alright, this does not benefit me right now. Although... yeah, because I'd have to put a counter on one of theirs, right? Because it has to be 3 separate targets. So let's just start with fighting this kitchen imp. We will win this fight. Don't think our opponent can discard anything for free that would change anything there. Hope for a third creature off this top deck. Tranquil Thicket. I will proliferate myself, get more energy. Hellmongrel can discard at instant speed to get a little bit of power buff, so I'm not interested in trying to fight that at all. Though, of course, they probably wouldn't ever discard enough to keep it alive. It seems like a terrible waste of resources, but still, I like my Dagger Tooth with this incremental growth. Each opponent discards a card. Well, have I got good news for you? I have a perfect discard. Palaka Predation. 3 or greater. Goodbye, incremental growth. It's a shame we didn't use it, I guess. The getting in. Alright. I could hit them for 6 if I ambush the Elder Fang Disciple here, drawing a card and giving me 2 cards as an option for next turn. I think that's honestly totally fine. It's not the best creature to be removed. They could discard a Blazing Rootwaller. That's a free Madness card. So it's not guaranteed that we're going to have a Living Sage, but I don't really care if we trade that off. I would just like to flood the board here, and I think the ambush definitely helps me do that. Thriving Rhino, fantastic. It's a good one for the use of all of this treasure. Energy. Got D&D on the mind, apparently. Alright. Opponent deciding whether or not they want to discard Rootwaller, I guess? Or they don't realise that they've got... oh my. Uh-oh. You're in for a world of hurt now, opponent. Pool of vigorous growth. Now we're Momiering. Thriving Rhino enters, gets us some energy. It's going to be a progressively larger creature as time goes on. And if the Daggertooth ever gets to proliferate triggers, we can get a big old bonus from that. So put our opponent to 10. I think other than lands, we're going to be basically just discarding everything to the pool for Momia value because it's Momia. And I love Momia. Alright, Mana Guardian. Drain Pipe Vermin. So if that one dies, they pay a black and we have to discard. So the question is, do I want 5 mana value or do I want to save it for 6 mana value at the following turn? I can only do this as a sorcery. I don't like how it's just taken us straight to combat, but I guess that makes sense. We got nothing else we can do. Yeah, never mind. So they have to just discard a single card here in order for Thriving Rhino to die to the Hell Mongrel. A little more involved with the Daggertooth, though. But I'm not interested. I just want 6 drops for the rest of the game. That should do something, even if they're vanilla creatures. They should be reasonably well started against our opponent's board state here. If we kill Mana Guardian, we get to seek a card that is 2 mana or less. We've got a lot of options there, including our namesake half of our deck, Eula. What's this thing do? Discard a card. Creatures gain haste until the end of the turn. Alright, so let's begin the Momiering. Tranquil Thicket, not a land that I deem worth playing. So, let's see. Our 6-drop is... I don't think there's any 6-drops that could, like, just kill us. Oh. Wakeroot Elemental. I do like Wakeroot Elemental quite a lot. It doesn't put counters on the lands, though. But it's still relatively good for us. So they discard to give creatures haste. I think Fiery Temper's been added to the format, so they could discard that and kill Daggertooth or Thriving Rhino. It's also just cheaper creatures now. So the Revolutionist gets back an instant or sorcery from their graveyard, which is going to be Davriel's Withering or Faithless Salvaging. I'm going to go with the Withering. Can't cast it just yet, though. Now they can. See if they choose to attack, and then I'll have to choose my blocks very carefully, because this gives -1, -2. So, if I blocked like this, I kill the Mongrel. Could just go for the Seek on the Mana Guardian, but because I've got 2 mana there, I don't really like the idea of doing that. Could block here as well. That's kind of reasonable. I'll take the rest. So this kind of forces out the Withering. Or a discard. I'm totally fine with that as well. Withering there, it still dies. I don't have any reanimation so far as I can tell. I get a little bit of a proliferate. And we get another 6-drop. Our 6-drop's going to be... Da-da-da-da. I'm happy with 6 drops. Volcanic Dragon. Very happy with 6 drops. No red for them. So I can swing here. I can even use some energy. Drainpipe Vermin dies, but they can't use the black to make me discard, nor would it actually do anything anyway. I've got a Sageback to block the Lash Claw. I'm happy to make that trade. Yep. Just taking anything off the board is fine by me. Gotta be careful about dying, though. No, we don't. No, we don't. Fair enough. Well, we momied our opponent to death. So, on the off chance that I don't do this card in Historic at some point for a video, and I'm pretty much guaranteed... Jank's a part of my channel, so like I don't really have a choice in the matter. This is getting a Historic deck at some point, so stay tuned for some nonsense mana burn with a pool of Vigorous Growth, but, you know... On the off chance that that takes a little while, hopefully this has satiated your Momia in constructed kind of needs for now. Either way, though, we've won our first game. So let's see what rare we get out of this. Hoping it's something that we haven't received yet. I've done quite well to not craft too many things. Territorial Kavu is not a card I've opened yet. This is a card, if I'm going to use it, that I'll want 4 of, though. Could make a deck out of it as well. Power and toughness are equal to the number of basic land types among creatures you control, so it can be a very, very powerful 2-drop with all of the triomes that are in the format now, but it does make for an awkward mana base. It's a little better when you've got, like, fetches and shocks, but still, it's a thing. When it attacks, you get to discard and draw. Nice to filter, get better quality cards. Exile a card from a graveyard. It's just really, really nice overall. You could probably even just like justify it as a 2-mana 3/3 in like a Gruul deck or something like that, and just like add a random off-color shock that's slightly on color, something like that. Either way, it's fine. I don't know if it'll make any impact on Historic though, but either way, on to the next one. Alrighty, we're in. We've got the Pool of Vigorous Growth. Which basically, as far as I'm concerned, means everything else in my hand is discard fodder. Yeah, we're gonna keep this one. Nice and aggressive with the Long Tusk Stalker as well. Never mind. Zabaz can push right through that. We did get a High Spire Infusion though, so we'll have to see. So Zabaz destroys an artifact you control, so it will not touch the Pool of Vigorous Growth, and then it can pay white to also get flying. So I think this is a red-white modular list. I can't remember what its actual name is, but I can picture the individual on the front of the pack. So we're going to get swinging in. Nice and aggressive. We can pump if our opponent chooses to block. Otherwise, perpetually bigger. Ha ha ha. Oh, choose a creature in my hand. Don't mind if I do. Got a shock. Or, Unholy Heat. I'm not sure what they've got as far as, things like that are concerned. Well, let's just get the Pool of Vigorous Growth out there. Let's be mana efficient. I'm not going to be using it until I get to at least, like, 5 or 6 mana. We've got 4 of it here. The only reason I wouldn't play that is to hold up in that High Spire Infusion, but they weren't exactly for the idea of killing the Long Tusk Stalker. It has left up and 1 red again, though. So it's hard to say. So now they've got Modular down. Things start to get a little bit spookier. I have a fight, but it will not win the fight, so I won't be using it. It would also put the counters on Zabaz. This is the guy who's on the front of the pack, I think. Arcbound Shikari. 3 mana, first strike. When it enters the battlefield, put a counter on each other artifact creature you control. Kinda disgusting. And gives Zabaz flying, no doubt. Yep. Probably just hit me for 2, maybe. No, they're gonna get in. Alright. I mean, I will block here, and I'll save my Tusker. The problem is that they move the stuff around. So I'm guessing, like, Zabaz gets a little bit of a buff there. I'm just gonna perpetually give this and Gorklaw a little bit more power. Just picture this being an electrostatic pummeler. And try not to picture the fact that Zabaz is a 6/6 right now. Don't imagine that. That's not a good thing to think about. First strike means we can't attack. Does mean that we can block with Gore Claw, but it's not a very good block if our opponent has any kind of interaction, pump spell, anything like that. Scorching Dragonfire, Gore Claw. Yeah, this doesn't look like a win for us. Shall be taking the L on this one pretty quickly. I'm going to need a Pool of Vigorous Growth to give me something to answer this board state. It's first striking opponent. Not sure if you noticed, but they are on a 2-turn clock anyway, so... Exile a creature card from your graveyard, put 2 counters on a creature, only as a sorcery. Yeah. I think it's time to begin the vigorous growing. Gonna get rid of incremental growth, because it's terrible. And our 4-drop's gonna be, come on, Chupacabra. Search your library for an equipment or vehicle. Do I have one? I do not. 4 mana 2/2. Gotta love it. Alright. Back on the draw a flyer or reacher or die. Oh, good removal spell. I don't think we have Artifact Destruction in our deck. But we do have things that will keep us alive, assuming that we're not just dead here. Going to 6. That does not have the ability to keep me alive. I don't have the ability to kill Zabars. And so we go 5-drop, pray to the magic gods. Our hit is... Not bad. Not bad. Okay, we've got ourselves a Lyra. If it's dead, then so be it, but... Got Artifact Creature Instant, so they don't quite have Delirium if they do have Unholy Heat, but I think the Unholy Heat probably only finds its way in the Delirium pack. We don't really... Scorching Dragonfire probably tells me what their other side is. Maybe the dragons, I don't know. Not too sure. It is a shame, though, that I do have to chump with Lyra here and not have the ability to pump it and do some nonsense, but it buys the time if we're not dead. Please no pacifism. No, please, I've got so much to live for. It's flying. Yep. Forces the block. We block. We go on to live another day. Wonder if it would be too broken for Pool of Vigorous Growth to put real cards into play if it, like, conjured them instead of momia'd them. Alright, now we get to upgrade to 6-drops. So I guess that's what we're doing. Could take the chance at another Lyra, but there's a lot of 5-drops in Magic the Gathering. And, yep, that'll... Oh, actually, that allows me to now kill the Zabars, right? I'm taking 9. Oh, they can actually... No, they've got me exactly, because they can sack the Shikari to modular, right? I don't want to highlight it in case... Yeah, when it dies, it puts 2 counters on, so... Yeah, they had the win anyway, but they also missed lethal. Wrong lethal. Wrong lethal. Bad. Naughty opponent. Well, pretty fun game, though. We still managed to get the Pool of Vigorous Growth, survived a turn off of it, but not good enough. Zabars... too much of a problem. Yeah, I don't know if we could have maneuvered that one differently, but we won't linger on it. We will go on to the next game and play better. Alrighty, opponent goes first. We've got the Pool of Vigorous Growth again. I can't mulligan a Pool of Vigorous Growth hand. It's just not... It's not what this channel's about. If I mulled that, I would be doing a disservice to all of you, so... I have to keep this hand even though it's kind of bad. It's just the way it has to be. All of my mana just has to be sunk into that beautiful, beautiful card. Did get an Aula. That's going to be kind of cool. It's only when another bear enters, so it currently is kind of like a 2-mana do-nothing. Which is never really great. But the Glade Warden is a bear. So that has its value. For sure. Mana Guardian. And that's also a bear. So I can put counters on a target bear. So what I could do is make Aula less likely to die to something like Davriel's Withering, which I think might be a card that our opponent is running in their deck. By doing this, naming bear, and then putting counters here. Now I have a 4/4. So we hope for a land. No need. Our opponent's weak to bears. 2 mana 2/2s, too strong. Alright, well, bit of a short game. I wouldn't normally include a game like that into the footage, but since it is our second win of this particular video, I do need to include this aspect of it. Let's see what the rare is going to be. Da 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 da. It's Wonder. An actual, I guess an actual mono blue staple for the format, or a blue commander staple. Brawl staple, whatever you want to call it. 4 mana 2/2 with flying. As long as Wonder is in your graveyard and you control an island, creatures you control have flying. That's kind of an absurd amount of value for very little work involved. You just discard this, mill it, let it die. All of this thing. It's not the fact that it's a 4 mana 2/2 with flying, it's kind of the fact that it's sat in your graveyard, giving everything else flying for virtually no effort. This card is pretty good, and a pretty nice pickup as a singleton for Historic Brawl, so very happy to see that. We've got time for one more, of course, so let's get going. Alrighty, opponent goes first. We got a 3-lander with a bear and another bear to become a bear. And yeah, some dagger 2 things, some energy for proliferation. It's all good. I love it. Why aren't you a dinosaur bear? Sadness has resolved in my heart. Alright, Tranquil Thicket, go. So we got a curve. We got a 2-drop, 3-drop, 4-drop. And then along the way, we got some pub spells that may or may not be good. Alright, Perpetual Death Touch is annoying. This card's kind of extremely annoying and powerful. It has Death Touch and it gives something else Death Touch. Dealing with 1 Death Touch is enough. Mother Bear. Alright, so the question becomes, how into the idea of getting blown out are we? Very. Let's go with Aula. Aula. So I'm very afraid of, like, Davriel's Withering. It makes this hand significantly worse. But at the same time, the rest of our cards aren't quite as good without the Aula on top doing nonsense. So we're going to name Bear. The Predator enters as a bear and acquires some counters. We're not going to swing in. I don't want to make Aula much more of a target, although if they had a Davriel's Withering, I could get out of range of that by putting some counters there. So Mana Guardian's going to be the Death Toucher. Opponent's going to pass. So let's go with... kind of like the idea of going Mother Bear. I'm doing this in full control because I'm going to get a counter on my Pretender. I'm going to let target bear, this bear... target bear you control, Mana Guardian. I'm going to let them fight, but because it's not getting a counter, I'm going to engage in a little bit of pumpage. There we go. So now it fights. Both of us lose. We get to Seek. They get the benefit of the Seek first, but Sky Shroud Ambush is pretty good. And the reason why I don't care to do that is because I've got this bear activation here, which I think is kind of disgusting, with Eula around. Typhoid rats. So we know that at least one side of their deck is rats. Just don't know what the other side is. So Tranquil Thicket tapped. We're going to get all of that Pool of Vigorous Growth mana in, of course. Yeah, I mean, I guess we're just going to go with the Litjara Glade Warden. They haven't been killing my Eula, so I'm going to assume they don't really have an answer to it. So I'm going to make sure that if they do draw Davriel's Withering, that it won't do anything. I can always have this Glade Warden fight any of these creatures. Mother Bear next turn will make 2 bears. I'll have it fight both of the Death Touchers, and then we get to swing. Probably get to swing profitably as well into whatever our opponent plays here. But that does kind of require that Eula stay alive for this turn. Opponent's just passing. Alright, so exile it from our graveyard to create 2 bears. See if they kill in response. We get lots of value. Alright, so bear, this bear, fights that rat. This bear fights that rat. They can kill 1. Ooh, Perpetual. Alright. That still works for me. We're not going to swing too much into this, but I will trade a 3/3 for a Plague Familiar. It's totally fine. Is this a bear? This is a cat. Shame. So if you draw a land, we've got Daggertooth plus Ambush. Probably we'll trade the... Actually, ooh. So the white side is Teo.
Diamonds are shield mage's best. This is what I train for.
I was going to say Daggertooth fights the Familiar, but the ambush would mean that I would lose the fight, right? So we won't be doing that. We will, however, be forcing that Familiar to do some blocking. So this... Oh, sorry, no. This fights this. We win. We draw. And that's a forced block. Gonna just let it go. Yeah. Honestly, didn't see that coming. Yeah, quite far behind, but these Death Touchers are very annoying. It is without a doubt the reason why the Rat deck's probably surviving as long as it is. Boneyard. Apparition. I have won a game with that card, so I truly, truly respect it. Got no creature cards in our graveyard. That's interesting. Yeah, kind of just in a really horrible spot. So, I'm gonna go boop, boop. See what they choose to do. Still not a thing that I expected to happen. Alright, well, let's do some channeling, I guess, or reinforcing. Let's see, 3 for 5. Reinforce this creature, please. It's a 9/8 now, then we proliferate. They get some reassembling skeletons in their graveyard. We get some energy and some counters, and we're just about ready to just straight swing through our opponent for lethal. Those skeletons come into play tapped, so no concerns there. If they've got another baffling defenses, all of these counters are making that kind of not great. And they're dead on board, with Titanic Growth as well. Of course, Skyfisher can give the familiar back to hand for a perpetual death touch on a 1-drop black creature. They don't have that, though. So this is sorcery speed, so I'm just swinging in with it. Were they just straight up dead on board? Let's have a look. They scooped it because they were probably going to lose, so they block, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. They weren't dead, but they were pretty dead. They weren't coming back from it, I assume. Like, these are tapped creatures, so whatever they gave Death Touch to is one creature. They paused enough for us to know that one of these 4 is probably a creature. We got the Longtusk Stalker and the Thriving Rhino to follow up with as well, because we're only committing 2 mana. So this is 2, 3, 6. We have more than enough mana there, so we go wide. There's no board wipes in this format as far as I can remember. And yeah, that'll do, Pig. That'll do. Well, this has been a very, very impressive color combination. I'd imagine most of the like single color combos are pretty good, mostly because you don't have to deal with all of the nonsense of tap lands and things like that. But yeah, very impressed with Pool of Vigorous Growth turning up in my hand several times over the past video. Yeah, I mean, what's more to say about it? We got lots of bears in here. Lots of energy, and it did its thing. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe. I don't know how much more Jumpstart we're going to be doing on the channel, maybe a couple more here and there, but this might be the last one. I'm not quite sure, but more historic stuff to come with all of the new Modern Horizons Jumpstart and whatever cards that have else been shoved in here. And yeah, take care and have a wonderful day.